but we're talking about it. Well,
We're
Tim,
getting each other's thoughts so you can make an educated decision on where this is going.
Tim, I'd like to take the opposite argument from you in terms of the length of time. I know from experience that city contracts with a consultant, even someone as well known as Bob Carr, take months. It takes months to get these things in line, to get all the ducks in a line. So I don't think they've been delaying. I think they've done what they needed to do.
Do we know why the application was put into Tim's point, like before it was ready?
Let's ask the applicant.
I thought we asked for additional information for it to be deemed historical.
We did.
And so that's what they're doing now, and this being deferred is not a big surprise to me at all based upon the initial conversation. We probably should have had it set for February, but I think we pushed for January in hopes. But that's just my understanding of it.
Did the applicant request a deferral at the November meeting?
Yes.
November, December, January.
I mean, I don't know.
It did take some time to get the agreement executed for access to the beach, so there was some delay due to that.
A lot of attorneys.
I might also like to add.
Please introduce yourself.
Hold on a second, before we
Hold on.
open it to the, I was just gonna say, Tim, to your point, like, I tend to agree with you, but I think if they rescind it and go through this whole rigmarole again, it's just gonna be back here, so, I think we're gonna end up in the same place.
It's open for discussion. I think it's important for us to understand the parameters that we're all working in and how this could become an ongoing situation.
I don't disagree with you, I tend to agree with you on that.
I need to.
Yes.
Please raise your right hand and state yes if you agree to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do. So,
Please introduce
my
yourself.
name is Michaela Tonka. I am president of Broward Trust for Historic Preservation, and I want to wish everybody a happy New Year and also Merry Christmas, because we are still in Christmas season. In terms of the discussion, I apologize for walking in late, and I don't know if you're aware of the fact that Bob Carr right now is pretty much in the process of wrapping up this research that's been done on the beach, and in terms of the materials that have been discovered, I cannot report. I don't have a report, or can't even begin to guess on what he's discovered. But we do know that material has been found. There are positive sites, and the last thing that I was aware of was that there may even be a possibility of them going into another wreck. I am a little bit behind the 8 ball, to be honest, because I have been sick. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to make it here tonight. And then I was also away because of the holidays. So I am a little bit behind the 8 ball, and I apologize for that. But in terms of this being rescinded, I will absolutely tell you that that is not going to happen with regards to where Broward Trust stands. This is wrapping up. It is coming to an end. And thank you, and I'm sorry, what's your first name?
Kim.
Kim, thank you for bringing that up, Kim. If you all remember back in September, when we brought this application to the board, after much discussion from the archaeologists, from city staff, from the trust itself, you all that were present there wanted more facts with regards to where the possible location of that fort was, and what other more recent materials might be there to prove that the 2011 trench research that was done would continue on into now 2026. And that there are more materials there in the beach. So we know there's materials there, we've known that right along, and now it's just a matter of time. I'm waiting for the report to come through. When
So the
Bob
report,
Carr is complete.
you're expecting it to be issued before the next meeting?
Absolutely, I absolutely,
Okay.
I absolutely expect it to be available for
Okay.
February. And then the other thing I want to mention is I don't know if any of you remember, Chris Cooper was also at that meeting, and he was in the back whispering in my ear, telling me 6 months. He wanted me to defer for 6 months, and I said, no way, no way. So, and we're closer to what Chris had suggested in reality. We had
Okay.
bureaucratic issues to get through, we had legal issues to get through, I'm sure Sean can
We
attest to that. So there hasn't been anything out of the ordinary in terms of why this has been deferred so many times. It's just
Well, let's hear what
logistics.
the rest of the board has to say.
Yeah, my 2 cents on it is I'm intrigued, so now I wanna hear more from Tim, but I think when we're talking about a deferral and we've advertised a deferral, we shouldn't have witnesses on one side or the other come in to speak, because if they think we're deferring something.
This is not a witness, this is the,
Yeah,
speaking for the applicant, yeah.
Yeah. so it just,
Well,
so
the
we'll hear
The
from the
applicant is certainly permitted to speak at our board meetings.
Just to clarify, it's an item on the agenda, they're requesting a deferral, and we still make the, I don't think it's been like advertised as a deferral, right? Other than the fact that Trish let us know that the applicant would be.
On the agenda, it states that deferrals requested.
She's the applicant, so we're just
Yeah.
discussing why,
Right,
that's all.
so then coming back to that, we routinely grant deferrals over and over, sometimes to great pain to me when we allow deferrals. This is a bigger deal, we've got a lot of interest in it, we did ask for they are making progress, so I'm definitely in favor of allowing the deferral. But I would be interested in hearing more about why do you wanna call the question and say, fish or cut bait now?
I just think it's time. I think I had enough time to get it together. She has her points to be made. She said the cities they haven't got their stuff together yet. We're looking at next month, and we just, for my consideration, be the day that I would draw the line and say, okay, you said next month, had this conversation. Tricia spoke with them, the cities told them what they need to know. Their guy now says he could have it in 2 weeks, that would put it 2 weeks later. And, to my point, when we do get to this, and it looks like it's gonna go till next month, there is gonna be a very long discussion about everything that was discovered, where it came from, when it came there, how it got there. This is going to be a very long-term discussion. There's a lot of tentacles on this thing being designated. It's owned by the city, it's operated by the city, it's unique and it's different than most everything that comes before this table. The city's in charge of this, and we're asking the city to work underneath a designation on themselves that may, quite frankly, create more bureaucratic hoops to jump through and more layers for them to jump through when they want to do things on this public area that's designated as a recreation area. So that, I'm trying to not have that conversation today, because we will have that conversation when it comes to determining whether or not designation for this area is in the greater good and best interest of public use. But for today, I felt as though it was time to say, let's get our ducks in a row and move forward, or vote on it, or dismiss it. And she's choices not
Let's
to.
hear what other board
That's
members
it.
have to say. Kim?
No,
No.
I mean, I've spoken
Okay.
my piece.
You-
Yeah,
Said your piece?
I understand Tim's point. Probably would have been more appropriate to wait for the applicant to wait to put this application in until they had what they deemed to be sufficient. But we are where we are, and I guess I would say one more month is, I mean, they're gonna resubmit the application if they withdraw it, as we said, so I would, one more month, if that's what.
Robert,
I have concerns that it's postponed month after month after month. I think wisdom would have been, and always hindsight, that it would have been 2-3 months out versus going month to month to month. So from that perspective, maybe it wasn't done right to begin with.
That's hindsight,
Yeah,
And as I said, it's sort of hindsight.
yeah. And I don't know that there's a right or wrong way when it comes to archaeology.
okay.
Well,
Well, that's,
for what Alan was saying earlier, I think it makes a good point. It's like if this is on the agenda, you're gonna have people from the public who are interested and
Well,
like to
this is
have
gonna
them
be
come back and
a
back
lot
and
of
back
discussion.
and back.
so would someone like to make a motion?
I move to defer case UDP HPD 25002 to the February 2nd sort of meeting.
Okay. Is there a second to Tim's motion?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Tim. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed. The
Abstain.
motion carries.
Abstain.
On one abstains.
I'm gonna oppose.
Well, Jonathan, I'm gonna be harsh, but I don't think you were here for the whole discussion, so are you abstaining?
I'll abstain, I'll go with the abstain then.
Yeah, I think it's better because you didn't hear all the arguments.
Fair enough.
Can you? Does everyone have to vote or can they abstain?
You have to have a reason to abstain.
Yeah, right.
So it has to be that you have a conflict of interest
So
where
Robert, what's your conflict?
There's no conflict of interest. I just feel that going month to month to month bothers me, where instead of doing it 3-4 months in advance, and putting it out there. So from that point of view, I didn't feel comfortable
Okay.
with going month to month to.
Just one thing to add to your comment. We as a board are as much at fault in this because we should have examined the fact that it wasn't gonna happen in a month. So it'll be a lesson for all
It
of
was a
us.
2-month deferral.
Or 2 month, yeah.
But I think you've got to vote either way unless you have a conflict.
Yeah.
Unless it's,
Yeah, I think, does it pass as it sits right now with
Yeah.
two deferrals and an objection? And let's
But
just.
Robert has to have a valid reason.
For the record.
I thought there was a valid reason, but if it's not deemed a valid reason, then I would have to vote. Is it, am I correct? Is it not deemed a
That's
valid
not,
reason?
no, it's not.
Did I have that concern?
Yeah.
Then I vote for deferral.
Okay.
one against.
So there's one against, yes.
He wasn't, he
Okay.
was delayed, so.
So the motion carries.
Okay.
We will see you next month.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Okey dokey.
thank you.
I don't think it's good.
Our next, hold on a second. Yes.
Are you watching?
Aaron. Now, same thing you're watching.
Yeah, that's mine, sorry, that's mine, that's just.
After the fact, case number UDP HP 5021. This is the 101 South with Lauderdale Beach Boulevard. Is the
I'm representing the applicant, I'm not saying the applicant.
actually, I think we should hear the staff report first.
The case planner for this item is
Alright, so
Hi.
I'll give you the, hi, hello. This item is a request for an after the fact certificate of appropriateness for major alterations under case number UDP HP 25021. Submitted by Shinzu, Cafe Del Mar, located at 101 South Lauderdale Boulevard. The installation of approximately 2,000 square feet of artificial turf within the front outdoor seating area, also covering 2 front entranceways to the Cafe Del Mar and the Grand 101 Beach. Property is part of the historic Lauderdale Beach Hotel, designated landmark, subject to a preservation easement held by the Broward Trust for Historic Preservation. As installed, the artificial turf disrupts the historic aesthetic of the building's primary entrance, introduces a non-historic material, and visually changes the frontage. It also does not extend across the entire width of the historic building. Here's a photo. If you go to the next one, it'll show like the whole building. It doesn't cover the whole part. It just covers underneath like the pergolas in the middle. The artificial turf was installed without prior approval and is therefore subject to review by the Historic Preservation Board in accordance with the ULDR and applicable historic preservation design guidelines. Staff report provides an overview of the applicable criteria and evaluates the requests against those standards. Staff found that most of the criteria does not meet, but a few criteria are partially met. These cases found to partially meet the criteria because it was removable and did not remove or alter any historic or artificial features. In conclusion, staff finds that the application for the after the fact certificate of appropriateness for major alterations under KCDP HP 25021 located at 101 South Fort Lauderdale Beach Boulevard does not meet the criteria as outlined in section 47-24.11.d.3.c.I of the ULDR and partially meets the criteria as outlined in sections 47-24.11.3.c.I. The board must make a motion of approval motion for approval or approval with conditions or a motion of denial. If however the HPD adopts a motion of approval with conditions, the following conditions for the COA for major alterations are provided for consideration by the HPD. One, the application is subject to the approval of building, zoning, and all ULDR requirements, including landscaping.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you wanna advance through the slides, a couple just to show some of the
There's some
images.
more
Okay.
photos.
Why don't you
So this is
just,
the current.
If you don't mind. At this, I don't know whether this would be the point I'm asking legal counsel. I know that applicant, I don't know him well, but I know him. I was also, I used to
so
live
this
with
is your disclosure,
my disclosure, and I thought that
and who
should
do
be
you
up
know?
there. This gentleman.
Okay,
Do I know him well? No. Have I seen him maybe in conversation a dozen times at most?
Robert, do you think you should disqualify yourself?
Let me just finish
Oh,
also.
I'm sorry.
I was also a resident of the building, and I before I moved, I'm no longer there, and I was a customer of the the building, and I'm familiar with what they're talking about. I don't know if that disqualifies me in any way.
Do you have an interest in the project?
Absolutely not.
Do you have it?
Absolutely not. But I thought it was important to discuss.
Yeah, that's good. It's great you disclosed it.
Thanks for disclosing that.
Should we go through other disclosures?
Are there any other disclosures?
I don't have any. We typically do it.
Okay, I mean, I know the building and I've driven by. Okay, with that,
Do you wanna go through just a couple more of the slides?
I'd like to go through the, start again with the slides because we were distracted. And do you wanna just narrate a little bit about what we're looking at?
Yeah, I installed artificial turf over the hardscape pavers with the drain tile as well, so the
Right.
turf is not directly onto the hardscape pavers. It's probably about 4 feet away from the historical part of the building, and I just needed to make the place look a little more inviting, and it does. It has changed already. I installed it about 4 months ago.
I'm sorry, you have to introduce yourself.
I'm Vincenzo
For the
Padula, by the way.
record.
I'm the son of Leone Padula, which is the applicant and he's the
Okay.
owner of the restaurant.
Thank you. I guess you're on, if you have anything more to say in terms of the,
No, it's fully reversible, so, you know, when, let's say one day when we're not there as tenants, we'll it can be easily removed, the pavers will be still,
are there drains underneath?
yes,
There's drains underneath the carpeting?
correct.
Okay,
That's why I installed the drain tile.
pardon?
That's why underneath I installed the drain tile, so the turf is not directly, there's no moisture underneath, it's all fully drainable.
Okay. Thanks. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak on this subject? If not, we will go and open up the board.
Michaela.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michaela, please come up to the podium. You have to introduce yourself again.
Michaela Conica, Broward Trust for Historic Preservation. As you are all aware, Broward Trust is the owner of the facades of this historic building. It is the only iconic, historically designated building, beach. So, in my mind, we have a responsibility to maintain the historical integrity of this historic, architecturally significant structure. If you look at any of the photographs from the early days of this building, there's not one that would indicate that there was grass. This is not grass, it's artificial turf. That there was grass growing in front of this building.
Right.
There might have been a small landscaped section where there was plantings along the structure. Unfortunately, I don't know if you got any photographs of what it looked like in the early days. But, as Historic Preservation Board members, you have a responsibility to follow the city's design guidelines with regards to the integrity of a historic building of this nature.
Okay.
I am sorry for the owner. Unfortunately, the property manager of this building did not follow his due diligence with regards to the implementation of this grass, artificial turf, stand corrected. And it was installed without HOA approval, without coming to Broward Trust for our opinion and potential approval. And then several homeowners got together and decided that who live in the historic part of the community, who were very unhappy with the way this is visually to their property. So,
Thank you.
which is why we're here today, so,
Okay.
in support of the cities. Thank you.
Oh, wait. Sure. For the applicant, sorry.
Yeah. You're familiar with the historic nature of the building?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any discussions with Tricia or
No, I didn't. About
with
the-
us about the process?
No, I did not. Not regarding installing the artificial turf. I spoke to her after regarding it, and as soon as I was made aware that it was a major alteration, which in my opinion it was not, I just thought it was just we were just doing a remodeling of the exterior, making the place look a little more inviting. So we decided to install some turf. Then made aware that does not
Okay.
look.
Alan, do you want to continue? Do you have any other questions?
No other questions.
We're now in board comments, so Robert.
I probably know the history of that building better than anyone. Why do I say that? I spent 2 years putting together a gallery of photos and history of that building on the 6th floor of the building. It was a project of love.
Beautifully done.
Thank you, you've seen it.
I have.
And I've seen it in the past. 2 years worth of research, getting the photos and the descriptions. And it's something very meaningful to that building because that building is really important. The old Lauderdale Beach Hotel to the city. I am also have eaten there. As I said, I've moved over 3 months ago. So I'm not as often. I've been back a couple of times, but I used to eat there, and I've seen the before and after of the grass, the artificial turf. I believe it's improved the appearance of the place. And because it is not approaching the building itself and not affecting the building, I don't feel it's infringing on the historic aspect of the building from a personal point of view. Aesthetically, I think it looks better. And so from that perspective, if it affected, and I do have photos of what it looked like previously. And the whole, again, where the restaurant is located is very different than it was in the old days. The hotel lobby used to be right in the entrance where the doors are. And the doors in the building itself has remained intact. something very special
Well,
for
that's
the
why they
city.
saved the facade.
Oh, absolutely. In matter of fact, that whole history of saving the facade,
Right.
I've outlined very, very much. The city, without going through the history. So coming from that perspective, I look at it as not something that has affected the building itself.
Okay. I have to jump in and take issue with what is being said because this is one of the most historic buildings. It doesn't get any notice in Fort Lauderdale. It was built in 1936. Roy France is a major Art Moderne architect. He designed countless towers in Miami Beach. He's very famous there. This is his only project up here. And as Michaela said, this is probably one of the last, if only, major Art Deco buildings built in Fort Lauderdale. There weren't any others. This is on the scale of a South Beach hotel, and that's what it was built to emulate. So I'm glad that the people who built the tower behind worked to save this and incorporate it into their project. One comment that Robert made, and I'm just taking issue with it, we all have our personal viewpoints, but this is the Historic Preservation Board. So when we're here, we have to look at the city code and determine what is correct. And you have to realize too that any decision made on a project today will have ramifications for you as a board down the line when a similar project comes before you. So I think you need to take that into account because setting precedent, as this would do, is a very serious thing. I have to agree with staff that as nice as the carpet does look, and I will agree that it does look good and makes the space look good, it was not historic. It's not mimicking any historic material that was there. It changes the look of the front of the hotel, and that's part of the issue. I also have an issue architecturally in terms of covering all the drains. I mean, if there were a major flood on Ocean Boulevard,
Fully reversible, it could be removed within hours.
well, but who's going to go out in a full rain to? I'm just saying. I know it's reversible, but it's just a concern. That's all.
We've been there for 10 years. We did not touch the facade. We could have put sliding glass doors and as
No,
you
well,
guys
that would
were
be a
discussing-
major
No,
change.
I of course, that's what I'm saying. It would have been, we could have followed through and done, but we are trying to keep everything intact. We
Right.
have kept everything intact. We have not touched the facade. The turf is installed under our covered patio, which is a private seating area, which is that we.
But who owns the sidewalk?
The sidewalk is not on the sidewalk.
That's public sidewalk.
That is public sidewalk.
Well,
That is our private seating area. That
okay.
area. That
So
we
that's
installed
part
the
of the
turf.
property of the hotel. Okay, I'm sorry.
Correct. That's why we installed it there, just for our seating area, because
Right.
it looks more inviting.
Well-
We had an issue on New Year's Eve because something that happened on the beach. It just makes what's recently been happening at the beach. We're just trying to differentiate ourselves from the sidewalk and our restaurant.
Understood.
We're trying to make sales.
Well,
make
let's hear what the rest of the board thinks.
I mean, I'll go ahead and say, which kind of backing what you said, and I hear, Robert, what you say, oh, it makes it look nicer, but as the Historic Preservation Board, we're supposed to look at what deems it historic and what does not, and that is solely our position. And as Trisha had mentioned, or Jonathan, regarding artificial material, this isn't for a safety reason. There's no legitimate reason besides trying to make it look more inviting. And as the job of the Historic Preservation Board, I would just have to say that I'm not okay with this, unfortunately. I understand it, but as the board, I would say that this is just, can't happen.
No comments.
Jonathan, do you have something to add?
I see both sides of it, you know, and it's, I could see why you're in that situation, I understand why you would do that. You're trying to evolve, if you're trying to clean, I'm definitely perplexed by it. I feel like you, kinda caught in a tough situation there, as,
Trying to make the building more inviting.
yeah, and you said that the association gave you the approval. Was it right?
One second, I didn't know.
Okay, I thought I heard a manager, or was that what it was now?
Manager didn't
I thought-
follow
Nobody.
up or do something.
Was there something I
Correct,
heard,
my manager
management,
did.
I said, property manager never,
property manager, that's what it
never
was.
notified.
I would ask that you stand and talk at the podium.
Yeah, what was
Property-
going on with the
property-
property manager?
So because of the arrangement that we have with the Las Olas Beach Club, it is, the burden is on the property management company that oversees the HOA and the community to reach out to us when there are these kinds of situations, and we were not notified. We were notified by a homeowner. And it turns out that not only were we not notified, but it was never brought to the HOA.
But these things have like, these are
Yeah.
different issues, right?
No,
So,
they have an
speaking to the board here, like,
Yeah,
let's don't conflate the issues with the.
Right.
Right.
I was actually gonna
Whatever
state that
private
too,
that
yeah,
is.
just for the
Yeah.
record, it's this, I mean, that's a private facade easement, right? So that this is completely different.
Yeah.
What we're doing here for the record, we're going under our factors
Okay.
in determining the answer of what you're gonna vote on today.
And I was just trying to, my goal there was trying to define the path of how it got to this point.
Wow.
So yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to side with the board on maintaining our requirements.
Mr. Tim,
I have a question probably for both of you guys, but this is private property owned by the Broward Trust?
Facade easement.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
The facade is, we own anything that goes on within the boundaries of the exterior portion of that building.
What's
We
defined
own
as the
it.
boundary?
It's owned by
When-
Las Olas
the
Oceanfront
front.
Number One LLC.
Alright, so it's private property. It's not part of the public sidewalk. There were not pavers underneath there that match the pavers that are on the sidewalk?
Correct,
So what did you cover? What was the condition of it when you covered it?
the existing pavers,
Pardon me?
the existing pavers were the same as the sidewalk.
Yes,
So when the city did the sidewalk, they did it all the way up to your front door?
That
Is
I'm
that
not
correct?
sure, that must have been before.
yes, it is,
Okay, so that was approved by
the city,
you guys to do that?
yes.
Okay, I don't wanna get into what's approved and what's unapproved because our city attorney says that's not our job, but.
So what do we go?
Well, what I'm trying to establish is, I wanted to make sure that that wasn't city property. So you didn't do that.
And to one picture behind, sorry.
Okay, so that, at one time, that was all the way up to your front door.
Correct.
Okay.
But they're still there, the pavers are still
Okay.
there.
Look, I sympathize with you as a restaurateur and trying to make your place more inviting. And there's all kinds of things that are going on in this world that make this board try to be considerate to practical things like safety and this issue we had with a place last month that asked for fencing instead of shrubbery, and now there's been a shooting down there, and thank God they're gonna have some security, and we were wiggling with that, but that was a security issue, that was a safety issue. This is truly cosmetics. And it just, so you know where I'm coming from, because I wanna be brutally honest with you. Had you gone through all the hoops, even though we were not supposed to give that consideration, had you gone through those hoops and you had gotten permission from the HOA and the Broward Trust, I would have had no problem with this. But coming in after the fact and doing it this way doesn't help.
There you go.
That's it, that's my comment.
This is the big
This is
four.
it right here.
right,
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get what you're
No, it was
saying.
my mistake to bypass everything, we're changing all the furniture, changing the tables,
I personally
Install
don't
the
think it
carpet.
detracts from the historic value of the experience. I don't think
pergola.
anybody's gonna go there and look at that turf and say, what happened to this building? It doesn't
Right.
look the same.
That's why I was.
That's my personal opinion. The fact that it doesn't meet the criteria as it's written in the code is something that you have to abide by. So I will side with that.
so would someone like to make a motion unless there's more comments?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Al.
I move to deny the resolution for certificate of appropriateness for major alteration in case number UDP H2250221 located at 10174 Lauderdale Beach Boulevard number 202 based on findings of facts outlined in the staff report. Period.
Okay. Is there a second to Alan's motion?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Kim. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. So our next item on the agenda is UDPHP 25022-335 Southeast 6th Avenue, the Stranahan House.
Yes,
Lena?
so this is a case number UDP HP 25022, requesting certificate of appropriateness for major alterations and new construction. Stranahan House is one of the most significant historic landmark in the city, and they are doing this development project on the site right now. And a few years ago, they applied for renovation and for certificate of appropriateness for renovation and reconstruction of the site. It was on April 5th, 2021, and under case number UDP HP 21005. And then later, they applied for several revisions. One was on February 5th, 2024, and the last one we reviewed recently on October HPB meeting, and it was case number UDP HP 25018. So this time we are reviewing new revision to previous revisions. And so on this slide you can see previously approved site plan and renderings of the project that they submitted earlier in 2021. But this project were never realized, they never built anything, so I don't think we can compare this project to the new one because this was never built actually, so it was just a proposal. But I will still use some references just to show some
Well,
differences.
it'd be good to see the differences.
Yes, to see the differences. So just take a look at this slide one more time, just to see what was proposed before. And this is our new project. And honestly, I think I can just show you on the screen because they have a lot of modifications.
I know.
I think it will be a little bit easier to just look at the screen. So the scope of work for this new site plan, this new proposal, includes exterior modifications to the existing administration building. It's building number 1 right there. Then construction of a new building, building number 2 right here. So on previous plans, it was extension to the existing building. Now it will be a separate building, a 2-story administration building. Then and also they want to remove existing gazebo, which is not historical, so it's not a historical structure. Also, they will build the event pavilion, which was proposed before. They just made some changes, like architectural changes. And also they're gonna build new welcome center, which was also included in the original proposal, but now they changed the design and architectural style. Also, there are several modifications to the site layout, which includes, as I already said, removal of the gazebo, installation of a new aluminum canopy between these new buildings, between this new building and the existing building. Then some paving, landscaping, relocation of the fence in this area so that they will create this like welcome central plaza. And also some installation of the new north pedestrian gate right there. Construction of a new retaining wall and seat walls in this area. Addition of a new deck, porch extensions and some buildings, and landscaping. So let's start with building 1. This is existing building, and we already approved replacement of the existing roof and the new dimensional roof. It was approved back in October 2025.
Cedar.
And they
Yeah.
also will replace the siding with the smooth stucco. So in this new application, they want to replace this opening. It's a window with the door. Then there is another window on this side with the door. They will make like interior renovation, like we're not talking about this because it's interior work. And also
But we should be talking about the window.
the windows, correct. So that's what I'm saying. So on the front elevation, they replace a window with the door, another window with the door. This door will be replaced with the new impact rated door, French door. And also, what is important in this proposal, they are replacing this curved molding under the fascia. They will just remove them.
Right.
And also they're gonna change the decking materials, which is, I think it's fine because they will just replace with more like long lasting
Is that building historic? The one you're talking about?
It's not a historic building.
No, okay.
But it was like, yes. So for this building, we don't have like many comments other than we would like to keep those molding, this decorative molding under the fascia because they matching the details on the main building. So this architectural feature,
One,
it just
I
works.
have to jump in. One could make the opposite argument, I'm sorry to jump in, but perhaps since it's not a historic building, they too closely mimic what's on the historic building, and there's a real danger they could be confused. Anyway, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I wait for my comments.
And also we would like to preserve these trims around the new openings to match the existing architectural features on this building on the main structure.
And the intent there is to unify the site
Unify.
with not exactly the same, but something that's compatible within the
because-
same area.
Go back, what are you talking about?
So there's two different methods of doing new construction on a site. It's either doing something that's compatible in a way that it's complementary, it blends in, but it's more simplified, it's not as detailed as the original. And that, to me, is what they're doing here. The other method is a very stark contrast where you're using a more modern material and it's very clear where there's a differentiation.
Sure.
I think a lot of people understand the IMP edition at the Louvre where you have the big pyramid in the middle, which is clearly an addition, there's no question about it. But in other examples, there's more subtle differences, but it creates more of a unification and a complementary campus.
And don't forget that it's quite a small site, it's 17,000 square feet, 17,000, so it's quite a small space. And everything around is a new constructions and new buildings, so it will be nice to get some integrity inside this small area. Then also this, on these renderings, you can see this new building, new two-story building. So this existing building will be education center, right? And this new building will be administration center. So they will just diversify the functionality between these two buildings. And they're gonna remove this tents and canopies around the gazebo, but we will discuss it later. So yeah, as I already said that they will replace window with the door, remove the moldings under the fascia, and this building number 2, we have the south elevation will feature the mural art on the south elevation visible from the river. We are not discussing the mural at this
Which direction is
case.
that facing?
This is south river, so this side is visible from the river, and murals will be discussed later as a separate application. Also, so about this building, we have one significant comment that we would like to possible change the placement of the windows on the south and north elevations, because it feels like they are a little bit too far from the middle, which makes these elevations, both of them, unbalanced. So it will be better to move them closer to each other to make this elevation a little bit more balanced and harmonious, like on this elevation. Yeah, thank you. So now we're moving to the next 2 new structures. One is the event pavilion and the welcome center, and these new structures are more simplified compared to the ones that they submitted before. So architecturally they are more simple, more like not so many details. It's a very modest structures. So the welcome center will be on this northeast portion, here, of the side, and event pavilion next to this existing house, historical house. The event pavilion is simple structure, as I already said, it's like a tent with metal columns and beams, the same roof as on these other structures, like the education center and new building. And with the welcome center, we have some comments as well. So on this rendering, you can see this window, which we staff criticized. We say that we don't like this type of window because it's very modern looking window, and as a result, applicant just removed the windows from this north elevation.
Which one are you saying is a modern window?
This is not.
It's like strip like window. So we asked them to modify. So we asked them. So on the current plans, there are no windows on this side at all, and we requested to maybe implement some windows on this side, because this is north elevation.
What does that face?
It's like when you enter in the Stranahan house, the building is right on your
Okay.
left hand.
Well, let's leave that to the applicant.
Yeah, so all these buildings have the same stucco, smooth stucco elevation, and the same design of the roof, asphalt shingle roof, color chestnut, and the
Got a little.
and the final thing to discuss is modifications to the site plan. As I already said, they want to make this site more like clean and expand the open space. Oh, this is just another view of the pavilion. Yeah, and so as you can see, this current condition is not very functional. There are a lot of structures, canopy, tents, a lot of clutter, visual clutter. So they just want to clean this area, make it more functional, improve the design and landscaping, and make it more like functional and improve the pedestrian traffic inside, you know, the circulation of visitors on the side, which is, I think it's understandable. The gazebo was built in 1980s, so it's not a historical structure, and we believe that we can approve the removal of the structure since it's not historical. I mean, in general, we can say, yes, this is the location of the gazebo, and this is historic photograph from 80s when it was constructed, so we have proof that it's not historical. There are also important, I mean, it's not a big modification, it's a minor modification, so in the original plans, the gate was split face block, and now it's a smooth stop, so it's not a significant change. And in the conclusion, I just want to say that
I'm just gonna make a suggestion. When we vote on them, we're gonna have to go through all the criteria. I'm just wondering whether we need to read it all now or we should review it later.
Well, you vote collectively on
Yeah.
it, so
Okay.
it's all under one request.
Okay,
So you can just make one.
okay.
yeah, I will just
motion.
summarize our opinion on these changes. The proposed development in general complies with the dimensional standards and built-in regulations of the H1 zoning district, ULDR section 47-16. The museum site requires ongoing updates and maintenance to preserve the historic structure and to provide up-to-date services for visitors and staff, including compliance with the ADA requirements. The proposed plans address applicable floodplain requirements and introduce materials with improved durability qualities appropriate for the South Florida climate. The project also seeks to improve visibility of the main historic structure, reduce visual clutter on the site, enhance visitors' circulation, and increase overall site functionality. All new structures are broken into distinct components, which reduces the perceived scale of the new construction on the site and enhances the human scale environment while adding visual interest. Variations in height and roof lines create a stepped transition from the historic house as the tallest element to the smaller new structures. The approach minimizes the overall visual impact and contributes to a more harmonious site environment. Proposed new materials include dimensional asphalt shingles, smooth stucco finishes, impact-rated windows with clear glass, steel doors, steel columns and beams for the event pavilion, for example, engineered wood and composite decking, color-stamped concrete and brick paving. The proposed color palette includes off-white stucco, chestnut-colored asphalt shingles, dark platinum copper, dark green accents matching those found on the main house, gray tones for ceilings and decking, and coral colored paving. These colors are compatible with the original structures on the site and represent a minimal visual intervention. The original plans presented to the Historic Preservation Board in 2021 at the case number UDP-HB 21005 were, in our opinion, more architecturally articulated and more directly supportive to the historic character of the Steinecken house. The plans presented under the current application reflect a more simplified design approach which doesn't conceptually reinforce the historic narrative of the site to the same degree. However, the decision to employ simplified architectural language allows the Steinecken house to remain the clear focal point on the site. Given that the historic property is constrained by surrounding multi-story development and visually dense urban context characterized by varied textures, colors, building massing, the proposed structures are proportional in scale and visually compatible with the main historic house. The new buildings are subordinate in size and massing, maintaining a secondary role on the site and preserving the visual prominence of the historic structure. And in the end, I just want to say that we, in general, this application meets the requirement. We just want to, we just have some conditions and for example, all glasses shall be clear. It's like we always have this condition. All mountains shall have a raised profile. Mural installations on those two elevations will be reviewed as a separate application. Window placement on the south and north elevations of building 2 should be placed closer to the center to achieve a more balanced and symmetrical appearance. Individual windows shall be incorporated on the north elevation. This is what we were mentioned about the welcome center, that individual windows shall be incorporated on the north elevation of the welcome center, building 4, to maintain consistency with the existing fenestration pattern. And we would like to retain, we want to ask the applicant to retain the curved molding under the fascia of the porch, as it is complementary to the architectural features on the historic house. Include decorative trims around the door and window openings on the new construction and the existing administration building to unify the site between the newer building and historic house. And also we keep all conditions of the previously approved certificates of appropriateness UDP HP 25018, UDP HP 24002, and UDP HP 21005 remain in effect.
Thank you.
Do you happen to have what those conditions were, Andy? If not,
Mostly, yeah, I can find
We can, I'll pull them up.
Applicant, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, I'm Alex Bogdanoff with Reside. I'm the owner's representative for this project for Stranahan House. Just with us, we have Doug and Bhutan with EDSA, who's a landscape architect, and Pete Eversole with Architectural Alliance, who's our architect, and of course Jenny Bell, who's the executive director of Stranahan House. We appreciate your time this evening. We would love to have a robust discussion with you all on items 4, 5, 6, and 7. We want to talk through kind of our thoughts and opinions on those particular items. And I just wanted to add a couple other items. So as with any construction project, you get in to sit down with the general contractor and you start looking at buildability. And that was one of the biggest challenges we had. The previous architect flagged, we need to dry floodproof this building. Well, it's basically impossible to properly dry floodproof an existing building, which is what basically created the need to separate the two structures. We were going to end up hitting that 50% threshold. At that point, we'd have to bring that building up to current code. That means we'd have to dry floodproof that building, and it was going to be a significant undertaking for a general that's existing administrative building, which is a pretty simple building that was built in the 1980s. The other thing is that in discussions with the landscape architecture team, we felt that the pavilion as previously approved was too close to the existing historic tree. So there's a historic oak on site. We tried to move, if you notice, we moved the structure a good 10 feet away to kind of further protect this the roots here, as well as the actual structure, the foundational structure of the pavilion was modified to because the previously proposed foundation would have significantly disturbed the roots. And so a lot of this was about one, floodplain constructability, and then preserving the historic tree. The last thing I'd point out is the previously approved plans noted a ADA ramp. We talked about a retaining wall, had no mention of retaining wall, just a ramp. Well, it's pretty hard to build a ramp without a retaining wall. So that's where that came from. So a lot of this stuff was once we got into the detailed review, starting to think about construction drawings, these issues came up and we wanted to come back to you all. Previously in November, you approved two main things. One, the use of asphalt shingles on the roof, and two, to stucco instead of the wood siding. And so what this did was it allowed us to differentiate these new buildings significantly from the historic structure. So if you look at the renderings, or if you could pull up the rendering, the idea here is all of those, the existing gazebo and all of these pavilion structures, awning structures, they're hiding the historic structure. It's kind of, you miss it unless you really go looking on site. That's a great image thing. And so what we're doing is we're pulling everything away from the historic structure and bringing it back to its 1920s feel, so that we can, really separate those buildings and highlight the bride, which is this historic structure.
While you're talking about it, how are you differentiating the historic building from the others?
So one, the stucco is important. The stucco, the roof structure, and then also removing a lot of these curves and other features that make it seem like it's a part of the building. We purposely, if you notice, all of these buildings have a lot of landscaping around them too. The idea is when you get on site, the landscaping hides the existing and kind of the new buildings, and all you see is the Stranahan house walking through that new entrance. That was really the purpose from the design team, and so that's why we wanted to talk through 4, 5, and 6, if I may. So in terms of the window placement, if you could go back to the building 2 image, the rendering, if you don't mind.
Yeah, this.
The rendering of this
Oh,
building.
the rendering?
Yeah.
Oh.
This one. So I just want
That's-
if one of the challenges we had is placing, obviously there's symmetry in the windows being on the corner here, and then also if you place these further in, just as you approach the site, you're blocked by the roof, and it had just it wasn't the best feeling from like an architecture standpoint. So that's why those windows were moved where they were. It's also functional for the space upstairs as well. So we would prefer to keep those window placements as they are. The reason why we removed the windows in the welcome center on that one side is because on the south side is they were kind of higher windows. It's a 500 square foot welcome center. We do have an obligation with the city to make it a welcome center. And so if you notice, there's a door and a window already on the east and west side. So by having high windows, we would be able to use those walls from like a retail standpoint. If we were to do the types of windows staff asked, it would completely remove the functionality of the 2 remaining walls.
What is that facing with the high windows?
So the high windows are facing the plaza. They're facing Las Olas Boulevard. So the idea here is that we would remove those windows. We would either do a mural, which would be approved through you all, or we would put in additional landscaping that would be taller and hide the building.
Sorry, so is it your preference that there be no window or high windows?
Our preference is no window at this point, just because we agree if staff feel that the kind of the higher linear windows are too modern, we're happy to remove them.
But if the board thinks that they're okay, is it like what's the preference of the Stranahan house, I guess is what I'm trying to figure out.
I think none from a retail functionality standpoint.
No windows, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And then
Where is the window? What are we looking?
so this is right now you're looking, these are the east,
Right,
so
right.
north and south, so the windows would be here, and this is kind of the updated drawing showing no windows. And again, all of this will be done in conjunction with kind of detailed landscaping that's going to really hide the buildings. And then again, there was number 6 was a request to keep the round fascia. We want to remove that fascia, again further distinguishing
You're talking about the arch between.
the arched fascia here.
Right.
If you notice, there's kind of, you see the arches as you come in. This really visually distinguishes. I think we felt leaving the arches left a question whether this was historic or not, and we really wanted to make it clear that that building is the historic structure. And then the last item was deck. We have no problems with. Okay, I always confuse mullions and muttons, so you're gonna have to give me a moment. We have no problem with the raised muttons. It's the mullions, just because now the building's going to be stuccoed. Then putting wood trim around a stuccoed building means, one, we're going to have to put holes in the waterproofing of the new stucco, and 2, we're going to have a wood or other structure that's there to rot and needs to be replaced. The big focus here is a big part of historic preservation is the financial ability to preserve the structure, and we're trying to ensure that what we build is as low cost from a maintenance perspective for Stranahan House as possible, and has the longevity in the Florida sun to survive the elements. And so we made a lot of purposeful decisions that would preserve the history of the site. I want to talk about one big one that we focused on is all of the mechanical equipment for these buildings is now hidden in the roof of this building. And so when you're on site, you're not going to see large AC handlers on site. And so the idea is we're really trying to take steps to reduce the modern electric equipment around as well. Except for the existing ones for the building, yes. Although those are hidden pretty well. So those obviously, but the idea was as minimal mechanical and electrical equipment as we could on site at ground level.
So
That's all the
I'm
points.
sure we'll have more questions.
Certainly, we're here.
So stay close by, thank you.
Don't leave.
With that, is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak on this project? If not, we'll close public discussion and open it up to the board.
Did the board do disclosures?
Oh, we didn't do disclosures, thank you. Any disclosures?
No.
No? I've been to Stranahan. Okay,
If you haven't, we need to.
absolutely. All right, with that, then I'll close the public discussion and open it up to the board.
And to address Shane's request about the previous approvals, conditions, if you'd like to hear those.
Why don't you
So
explain that?
so one of the
So
proposed
there,
conditions is that the prior conditions for those three applications be retained. So I just asked Trish to remind us what those conditions were.
Good, good.
and to some extent it's slightly repetitive, but one is all windows must have clear glass and all buttons shall have a raised profile. In the previous set, it said there was a sign that was proposed and it says the new sign shall shown on the site plan be added at the landscape edge facing the new river is not included in this approval and must be reviewed in a separate COA application. 3 is mural and art installations on the education center and welcome center of the gift shop are not included in this approval and must be reviewed in a separate COA. And then there's one big archaeological requirement. So I won't read it verbatim, but just that they have to do provide a letter of agreement to provide archaeological testing and monitoring on site.
Oh, it's like our standard.
And then it also our standard that it has to meet all the building and zoning requirements.
Thank you.
Anything else? You wanna come, we'll come back to you.
Sure, you can come back to me.
Okay.
No, I mean, based upon everything that we've gone over, I understand even talking about like the curves of the fascia. I think right away you would reference that can be an opinion. The windows, I understand from, you know, the point of how they're located, the same of the modern one. I think taking it away altogether would probably be the best, but I think these are a lot of maybe cosmetics. I think you guys are doing everything on the historical side to accent the house itself, so I am fine.
On that note, I just wanted to jump in. I can't remember the last time in depth, but I'm concerned that when I look at the proposed renderings, the historic Stranahan house, the color looks the same as the other buildings. The roof color looks the same. So, and I know the trim is supposed to be the same because it's all dark green. So how are we differentiating the historic building?
So I will pass it to the architect if I get this. We, again, I think these are renderings. We have not done this final color selection of the buildings. It was requested that the roof color remain as consistent with the historic structure as possible. I think what we can do is kind of keep that so it doesn't look out of place, but explore a little bit different color shades while still keeping a muted white color. Correct me if I'm wrong, I know color is not one of the items that you all have purview over, but we definitely are gonna look at ways we can distinguish the buildings and are happy. I think the plan is to have a slightly different color than the Stranahan.
And you mentioned before that the other buildings are gonna be stucco.
Correct.
Whereas the Stranahan house is not, so
Correct.
that will help.
Again, renderings, you don't
And
get all
then-
the fine details.
And maybe just one other question. Presumably there'll be some signage about, or maybe it's in one of the buildings about how these buildings were added in whenever,
We will be coming back to you all for signage on site because that is part of
which would assist with, identification
Yeah, yeah.
and history of the property.
yeah, the plan, just so you all, we have, I wish I could say this is the last time we will be here for this project, but
No,
it
we know.
likely won't be. We know that we have to bring signs and murals back to you all, and as well as, there are, mechanical modifications that we're looking at for the Stranahan house itself that will
I
be.
just wanted to finish this thought before we go to Bob. Really take a look at all your detailing. I mean, I know it looks really handsome with the dark green, but I'm really concerned that with all the visitors coming, that they can understand what was historic and not look at a new building and go, well, it's all historic. Because if it looks alike, to the untrained eye, they would assume the wrong thing.
Absolutely, and I know that it is the plan and the goal of the Stranahan House that as part of this project, really making it clear where the historic structure is and what is historic and what is not. And so that will be a really important part of the wayfinding and signage of the site as we move this forward.
So is that something you would come back to us?
Oh, we will have to come back to you
Okay.
all for signage. There are also signage requirements in the historic district that we need to work with staff on to make sure that we are fully aligned.
Well, while I have a few other questions, because I'm sorry, Bob, but let me just go through this really fast. I understand building 2, why it's so plain, but I realize how close it is, and I think you're smart to design it from where they can see out and where one can see the windows. And again, maybe landscaping will help disguise parts of these blank walls that go up 2 stories, a trellis or something.
And we did, the architect made this as short of a building as basically possible under code while still maintaining the kind of usability.
Well, I like how the Stranahan house towers by 5 feet over the other buildings. So, yeah. And real fast, railings. I see railings on the Stranahan house. Do you not have to bring them up to code? Because they're not handicapped.
On the Stranahan house, no.
Yeah, on the second floor there.
Oh, on the actual house itself, they all, okay.
Sorry.
So you don't have to bring the house up to code.
Hold on,
Do we?
sorry, buddy.
They're not doing work to the historic Stranahan house itself.
Well, they're doing a roof, aren't they?
Not on the, no,
No,
we're not
no,
touching the
not
structure,
touching.
this
Okay.
is not,
Yeah, so hi, Jennifer Belt, Executive Director. So yes, on the historic structure, we're essentially exempt from ADA, so all of the railings are about yay high
Yeah.
and they stay that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And my last question was, show new doors, which are very contemporary looking. Where are they going? With the multi-panes, with the horizontal mullions?
sorry, which,
I think
In
it's
your-
the product proposed
in the
that
product
was submitted,
sheet?
but
The product
it's just
sheet.
the example
Oh.
of the, I mean, it's not
I'm
the
sorry,
actual.
Alec, I'll jump
Oh,
back
yeah,
in
yeah,
again.
sorry.
Yes, so, and I apologize, those were just the samples of the materials themselves.
Yes.
There was one specific door on there that was the, what is it called again?
I don't know the name of it, but there's a
Like
a
it
better
was a
picture of it.
3-panel, so it was like glass and 2/3 of it, and then like just a solid door at the bottom third. So it's not that modern look,
Oh,
it's
okay.
just the product approval that I was
Okay,
given
I was a little
had that.
confused.
Yeah, and that, no, that would not fit
Okay.
at all.
Thank you. Robert?
First of all, there is no building equals the Stranahan House and the significance of Fort Lauderdale. I wanna commend the team because I look at these drawings and you do differentiate yourself from the Stranahan House, but I think it blends well. And part of it is the roof that we talked about. You also opened up the whole view of the Stranahan House, and that's what it's all about. These augment it for tourists and other reasons. The emphasis and the only emphasis is the Stranahan House. So from that perspective, I feel very good about what you've done. The color is important. Of course, you'll come back to us on signage. And I like the idea of differentiating on the color, have it blend, but not equal to what is on the Stranahan House. That's my perspective.
I think I can comfortably say that that is our plan as a team.
Jonathan, do you have anything to add?
I mean, I'm in line with it.
Alan?
I really like all the work that's planned, and I guess from the staff report to what I'm hearing, I understand his perspective on 4, 5, 6 differences, and would support those.
Because he's not touching the main structure.
No.
And, you know, the challenge with that main structure, with it being the flood FEMA,
Right.
and I don't think we can really get into with their flooding.
No,
And how
that's,
that all dispenses off the other.
well, that's more of a permit issue.
Yeah, maybe I can let you guys know, one of the big things obviously is we'll be upgrading the stormwater system on
Right.
site. We are also separately looking at working with the city to hopefully find some other ways to flood protect the structure. The city,
Protect the historical
the
structure.
historical structure, so that right now there's just some limitations in city code. We've engaged Anthony Fajardo and some other folks to start a conversation about how we might modify code specifically related to seawalls that would allow us to
Can
potentially
you do floodgates or anything?
so the
Just
problem
to
is we
say-
don't wanna trust, just maybe too much, but one of the things,
Different discussion.
just-
Yeah, I know it is.
just really quick, you can't put anything on top of a seawall in the city of Fort Lauderdale, and so what we're trying to do is look at, hey, if we could put flood glass potentially that could help flood proof the structure.
Right.
That's not allowed right now. We don't wanna go through the costly variance process. It's not considered as part of this project. It's just
Then
something
let's
we're
not
exploring.
discuss it right
I'm just
now.
letting you all know, we're
Thank you.
we're
I'm
doing
sorry I asked.
but we're doing everything we can to figure out how to better
Okay.
preserve it.
Let's continue with the board discussion.
Not ready yet. Time.
Anything to add?
Yeah, I think there's obviously been a lot of effort
Oh,
that's put
sorry.
into this, and appreciate your working on this with the staff. As far as like the proposed conditions, I would be in favor of the number one, the low E coating glass, number two, the muttons having a raised profile, number three, that the education center any murals or art installation not be included in this application, and number 8, all of the previously all conditions of the previously approved COAs remain in effect, the ones that Trish read off. And I would say that I just wanna reiterate that the Stratton House should do with the color what they think is appropriate. That's not anything that we have purview of.
No, but we do have,
We do value your opinion.
and we do have purview over making the historic structure different.
Yeah,
That's certainly up to the
but the
applicant.
color is
Oh,
not
no.
just like they can paint it whatever color they want.
No, but we can say that we'd like to see it a contrasting or close color.
I mean, I think it's just important that the applicant know that that's not something that that's required of them as part of this
Well, the
application.
secretary of the interior standards requires.
I mean, I think they can ask the city attorney what's required, but I just don't wanna confuse
Sure.
the applicant with what's
I think.
We understand it's not required, but again, we value the opinion of the board, and we know we have to come back to you all, and also, wanna be good community partners, and you guys are an important representative.
And in my view, like no one's got more skin in the game here than the Stranahan House itself. So I would defer to whatever they think is appropriate. That's just my opinion. But yeah, as far as those conditions 1, 3, and 8, would be the ones that I
1, 2, 3, and 8.
1, 2, 3, and 8. Yes.
Green.
Anyone else have anything to add, or Tim? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Saving the best for last.
No, I share the same opinion as Shane. The staff and the Stranahan House both want the same things. They just need to iron out what goes as close to the guidelines as you can get, all things considered. And as you said, the Stranahan House is, got more skin in the game than anybody. So good luck to you. That's it.
Before we first would, I just want to thank Lena and Tricia through this entire process. They have been wonderful even over the holidays, like making sure things get to us and done. And I know the entire team has just really appreciated their level of professionalism and support through this entire process.
Thank you. So would someone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion. I move to approve with conditions the resolution for an amendment to a certificate of appropriateness for major alterations and new construction under case number UDP-HP 25022 located at 33 is that the right address? 335?
Southeast 6th Avenue. Yeah.
Southeast 6th Avenue.
Yeah.
Based on the staff report and the testimony we heard today, and subject to the following conditions, conditions 1, 2, 3, and 8, as outlined in the staff report.
Second.
Seconded by Alan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good luck.
And
Thank you.
we look forward to seeing you back here.
Yeah.
Home now?
Yeah, we're going home now.
I'm coming with you.
Thank you all.
I wanna stay at the bird.
It's so much fun, buddy.
You guys was able to watch.
He's making the color
I
decision.
tell you, the kid was good.
Hey, good job.
Thank you.
So we've reached the end of our agenda. Trish, is there anything else?
No, we don't have any
Okay,
other items.
and someone, oh, please.
Yeah, I'd like to just say something, guys, just for the future reference for conflicts of interest, it's covered under 112.3143, and it's basically you can't vote if it would inure to a special private gain or loss. I'm gonna send you the code just so you have it in the future, because it is a little bit complicated. It talks about relatives and different things, but just for a reference, just make sure you guys have it in the future. When you asked that, I was like, maybe I need to send that in. It's very specific.
Thank you, that's great.
Yeah, and then for the other thing, for the whether you need to vote, you do need to vote, except for the situation like with Commissioner Keefe here, where you come in halfway. And you might prejudice the process
Right.
because you're coming in halfway. That's where the abstain came from, which was right for to come in there. So, but if you don't have a conflict of interest, you're required under the Florida statutes to vote.
And Sean, if like Jonathan wanted to vote there, is there any issue with that?
I mean, it's kind of like I would say it's probably a better procedure if they just don't vote, because you come in halfway, it could prejudice the process, and if it's it's quasi judicial, you're coming in halfway through, you haven't it might give the appearance you haven't heard all the evidence.
And somebody could challenge the vote.
Correct.
Thank you.
Very helpful, thank you.
I have a question. Two questions. One, if the applicant requested a deferral, if we decided not to, and we, being it's with the city, does that create any problems for her to be able, for the applicant to come back and submit an application or continue her journey, so to speak, without any problem, or does it create a finality to it?
Yeah, so if you, I guess procedurally, if you were to not make the motion to defer, hear the case and the case got denied, I guess you would be prevented from bringing the application for 12 months unless it's a different application or new evidence is presented.
We're a different nonprofit.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a different application.
If another entity came forward, they could.
I haven't researched that's an interesting scenario about having a different nonprofit, but like for just a general situation where you have a legal description for a big area and you confine it to a new application to a different legal description, significantly different.
It's tagged for 12 months, not be looked at.
Correct.
And then the second one was, when people come to us, and you, I'm sure you'll be able to explain this, but they haven't gone through the right hoops with their HOA, they haven't gone to their landlord, they have not done their due diligence legally. And now here we are discussing this, spending our time, staff is taking a look at everything, and yet they didn't pull a permit, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. It seems like it's backwards. What would prevent our application from stopping right from the beginning when they say if you are after the fact, you have to get some sort of, you can't come in here and have all this other baggage and what would be the point of us approving? If we did approve that grass today, wouldn't they be in an argument with the landlord, the Broward Trust, and yada, yada, yada? And wouldn't that just be a waste of our time to approve something that's just gonna end up being in a civil court or whatever, even though it's not our jurisdiction and doesn't come under our umbrella, why do we have to deal with stuff like that?
Well, it's a part of a multi-part process. Lots of times after the fact, you deal with not only historic issues, you deal with construction code issues, you deal with other non-approvals. So
But
like,
it's a historic, it's, if the building is historically preserved, the
right.
person who's in the historically preserved building needs to work according to guidelines before they even come to us. So if they haven't gone to the Broward Trust, then why are they here for approval of something that the Broward Trust would have disapproved in the first place?
It's a separate approval application process. I mean, they just need to fulfill the minimum requirements, which for filing, they fulfill the minimum requirements of getting the signature on the application and providing what the
So I guess
and
what I'm
application.
saying is, if the building is under historic preservation, shouldn't they be required to have a signature signed off by the trust
Not-
to even get the application to move forward?
Not in this process because they had a
The Broward Trust owns the property.
They don't own the
No,
property,
they're in charge of
they
it.
have a
Facade, and he's
Pardon me?
they have a facade easement.
right.
Okay,
So it's a separate.
alright, so it's all
That's
legal,
different.
it's all legal stuff.
Yeah. Easement,
Okay.
ownership,
We'll skip it.
yeah.
I just have one brief question. You said 12 months before you can bring it up again, unless there's new evidence, new facts. What would constitute new fact? Because you could almost say something that's very small as an excuse to, again, bring it up to us within that 12-month period. Does it have to be
Yeah.
something of significance?
I mean,
'Cause we're
it would
coming
be something significant. I mean, of course, the board would make the determination what's going to constitute new evidence, but something most times when looking at new evidence, the board may say that this was not available at the time when it was presented and something new came about. That's lots of times for that situation. That's what that provision is in there for. Is something just new is discovered after an application got denied.
And who makes that decision?
That's the board decision. Okay.
Well, with a designation application, the board is a recommending body to the city commission. So you're not making the final
Right.
determination.
Understood.
Correct. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Very helpful. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
second,
Thanks, guys.
thank you.
Hallelujah.